Hi everyone, it's Paul and this is the video for day 2 of the 2020 Cheltenham Festival. Day 1 is getting underway in just over 3 hours. Can't wait. Hopefully we've built up a bit of a bank from day 1 by the time this day 2 comes around. If Willie Mullins has a good day, chances are we have. But in we go for battle in day 2. Day 2 starts with the 1:30, which is the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. Grade 1, 2 mile 5 furlongs. And this race seems to be all about one horse, and that is the unbeaten Gordon Elliott horse, Envoy Allen. Davy Russell taking the ride. It's a magnificent horse, this. Unbeaten in all starts, in all disciplines. Obviously won the champion bumper last year. What I liked about that champion bumper was, I watched it back again, and he got tackled coming off the bend. Then Blue Sari came back at him, and he just keeps finding and finding and finding. Clearly got a lot of speed, clearly got a lot of stamina. Had a few options in this, including even going for the champion hurdle. Was being muted for the Supreme Novice. But this has been the plan for a long time, and they're sticking with the plan. And on all known form, Envoy Allen is a long way better than all of these here. The Likely Danger is the second favourite, not surprisingly, and that is Sporting John for Philip Hobbs and Barry Geraghty. 3 for 3 over hurdles, cannot cramp anything this horse has done. Even beats a horse called Harry Senior. Now, Harry Senior's gone on to win a graded race and is a decent horse in his own right. It'll be interesting to see how Edward Stone goes in the Supreme Novice, because Edward Stone obviously beat Harry Senior at Aintree. If that runs well in the Supreme Novice, that form definitely would have had a boost. Only had the 3 starts over hurdles, but this has got the potential to be high class. Cost JP McManus a small fortune, and no, he's a very, very good horse. 2 the big horses in here. First of all, the big getaway, Willie Mullins, Paul Townend, 1 for 2 over hurdle. With this one, you're backing potential rather than actual form, because the form that he's had hasn't really had any substance, to be honest with you. And being honest, must jump better. Even though he's won 1 out of 2 and ran well in the other one, didn't jump great watching the replays last night. Will have obviously come on for the experience, but definitely needs to. But Willie Mullins probably would have been thinking this the whole season. But he's still likely to fall a bit short. The big breakaway is the other big horse, which is Colin Tizard, Robbie Power. 2 for 2 over hurdles and looked decent doing it, to be honest with you. However, the defeats in those 2 races, he beat Blackjack Kentucky and Papa Tango Charlie, and they've kind of let the form down since, if you want my opinion. So would have had to come on, and he's likely to find at least a couple too good. To fill the frame, I actually think Longhouse Poet for Martin Brazel and Mark Walsh has got a decent chance, even though he hasn't necessarily been winning. In his last 2 grade 1s, which the last 2 races he had, he was beaten 7 lengths and 2 1/4 lengths by the likes of Envoy Allen. But what gets me is, he didn't jump great, but to be beaten 7 and 2 1/4 is not actually bad efforts. So if his jumping has improved, which again, like with the big getaway, it's likely to have improved for the experience. I think at around 14 to 1, if you're looking for an each way play rather than a win bet on the 2 short prices in the market, Longhouse Poet might be the way to go. But for the win, I'm all about Envoy Allen. As I said, all class, unbeaten, looks to be his ideal trip, likes the course, everything's in his favour, to be honest. 1, 2, 3 then for the 1:30, the Ballymore Novices Hurdle, Envoy Allen from Sporting John and Longhouse Poet. Which leads us into the second race, which is the 2:10, which is the RSA Novices Chase. It's a grade 1 over 3 miles, and I think this could be a pretty good renewal. The favourite at the moment is Champ for Nicky Henderson and Barry Geraghty. 2 for 3 over fences, but fell on his latest start here at the course. And if you actually look at the trends for this race, he's kind of not hitting the trends of a typical RSA winner. He must have come on for his 3 runs. Even what he's achieved, he needs to have achieved more. And obviously proven that the full, he's well and truly over that, because his jumping, even in the wins, hasn't been particularly brilliant, to be honest with you. I can see him running well because he does stay and fill in the frame. But in terms of a win, there is heavy risks attached to Champ. All the money has been for Copperhead, actually, for the Tizard-Cobden combination. And this horse, you can understand, has been improving all ends up all season. Reynoldstown winner, and the Reynoldstown, and he won that very easily by 12 lengths, so even more. But that Reynoldstown is a very key piece of form, I always find, for the RSA. My only concern for this, I've gone back over his whole career of form. He's won going left-handed, but his best career efforts are all right-handed. And he runs to a much higher RPR rating right-handed than left-handed. Go and check it out for yourself. As I said, I'm not saying he can't run well and he hasn't improved, but I do suspect he prefers going right-handed. And again, now the good prices of around 8, 9 to 1 have gone. He's around 3.5, 4 to 1. It's pretty short for me. A couple have also run Slate House based on what he did earlier this season. You would put him bang there, but he has fallen, he has pulled up, and he is proven a bit inconsistent like he was over hurdles. And Battle Over Doyen, it was a really bad run. His latest run was bad, and his only run at the course was bad. So there's a lot of concerns for Battle Over Doyen. I'm a bit gutted Alaho for the Mullins Town and combination goes for this, because he was high on my list for the JLT, but he goes for this. He has very closely matched hurdles form with Minella Indo, who we're going to get onto in a minute, and even over fences, very similar profile. There's not much between them. There's a horse in here called Easy Game as well, who's a decent horse, but he holds him on back form. So I think Easy Game will run a big race, but is still likely to be held by Alaho. But as I just said, his hurdles and chase form ties in very closely to the number one pick for this race, which is Minella Indo for the Henry de Bromhead, Rachel Blackmore combination. Defied odds of 50 to 1 to win the Albert Bartlett last year, but proved it wasn't a fluke because he then went to Punchestown for the Grade 1 and won that one as well. Stays really well. That is very, very clear. Likes the course, and in both of his chase starts has jumped really, really well in the main. And if you've got a horse that stays well, jumps well, likes the course, travels well, you're ticking all the boxes for an RSA winner here. Tactically versatile. I've seen him go from the front. I've seen him held up, play off the pace. And on his breeding, I think he's just made to be more of a chaser than pretty much anything in this field, really. His form's stacking up more than Champ, and he does hold Alaho generally on back form and has a bit more potential. 1, 2, 3 then for the RSA Novice Chase, Minella Indo from Alaho and Champ. 250 is the lottery. That is the Coral Cup Handicap hurdle. It's a grade 3 over 2 mile 5. It is a lottery, but I do have a half-decent record in this, not just on the wins, but getting some big price horses placed. The favourite at the moment is just about Protectorat for Harry and Dan Skelton, which is understandable, consistent, course and distance winner, obviously on New Year's Day, won the race, then got it taken off him, then got it reinstated. But he has been beaten off a lower mark than this in listed races, including at Sandown this season. So I've got a feeling he just needs a bit more. And in such a competitive race, I think the value's gone in him. What I like here is Those Days Are Gone. Charles Burns trains it. Kevin Bruder is a great young jockey riding it. He's only had the 2 hurdles start, but what I liked is the way he flew home out of nowhere at Leopardstown over 2 miles last time. He jumped the last in about 8th and just took off, which suggests the step up to 2 mile 5 is absolutely bang in his favour. Gets in off 10 stone 11, lovely weight, good young jockey taking a few pound off. Those Days Are Gone, I think, is going to go mighty close at around 14 to 1. Burrow's Edge goes here, is on a good mark. My concern is they've only raced him once left-handed in 12 career starts, and that one left-handed run was bad. So again, shortish price for this type of field, not really one for me. Last year, I actually tipped up Canardia, and it run a really good race when it came 5th. Really badly hampered coming down the hill. It was a shame. Run on really well. Has since transferred to the Willie Mullins yard, which is a big move, and this is the first run for the yard. He's £3 higher than he was this time last year, but as I said, in the care of Willie Mullins, would have gone closer than 5th last year. Big price again in double figures. Canardia's going to go mighty close. But for the win, I'm going for, it's currently the 4th favourite in the market, and that is Dame de Compagnie for Nicky Henderson and Barry Geraghty in the JP McManus colours. Very lightly raced mare, this one. Doesn't take a lot of racing, but is a course and distance winner twice. against the Meuse. Okay, she's out of the Meuse here, so it's a step up in class, but she clearly relishes the course and distance. However, when she did run against the others, she ran a really respectable 5th in the Greatwood, but at the last hurdle was carried a bit to the side and didn't jump it great, but run on well. So he ticks all the boxes, a course and distance winner, likes the ground, got a lovely weight off 10 stone 12, run well in the Greatwood, and obviously Nicky Henderson, very, very good trainer. So the percentage caller here is Dame de Compagnie, but I think those days are gone. In particular is going to run him mighty close. 1, 2, 3 then for the Coral Cup, Dame de Compagnie, from those days are gone, and Canadia. Which takes us to the big race of day 2, which is the 3:30, which is the Queen Mother Champion Chase. It's a grade 1 over 2 mile. And as a disclaimer here, I am treating this like Altior is 100% fit, 100% ready, and will race. Obviously, if he doesn't race, flip to selection 2. But he is a legendary horse, Altior. There's no way about it. In 40, 50 years' time, people will talk about Altior. He is one of the racing gods, in my opinion, and one of the best, certainly, I've ever seen. He did a splint earlier this weekend. He's recovering well, but we'll see. One thing I would say is Nicky Henderson, Sprinter Sacre had something similar, brought him back. Binocular had something similar, brought him back. My Tentor, yours. What's his name? Bouvedeur. All had setbacks close to the festival and ended up either winning or running great races. Nicky Henderson knows horses and he takes care of horses. That's one thing I would say. He will not risk this legend if he's not fully done. And I think if he does go fully done, I think Altior's going to do it. I really do. Cheltenham is his course. He doesn't get beat at Cheltenham. It's as simple as that so far in his career. And the way he picks up that hill is just breathtaking. He was obviously on one of the longest winning runs over obstacles ever. It was ended by Surname at Ascot, but I think a mixture of going right-handed and 2 mile 5 were both against him. He wasn't right after that. And do you know what Nicky Henderson did? And I have full respect for him. He whipped him out of the King George. He whipped him out the Desert Orchid. He whipped him out, I think it was the Clarence House. And he says he's just not over it. He's just not right. In that time, Surname raced twice, ran below par in the King George, and then fell when beaten last time out in that Clarence House. And he's out for the season now. It was a tough race, that, and it was all against Altior. So giving him an extra 6-7 weeks off compared to Surname was the right move. And that turn of foot in the Game Spirit, his last race between 2 and 1 out, was breathtaking. And even when it looked like So Royale was going to come and Dynamite Dollars, he just keeps finding. He's a proper legend. And I think if he turns up on cue, I think he'll do it again. Chassoun Poursoir, obviously Paul Townend, Willie Mullins, beat the reopposing Defi de Searle in a novice chase at Punchestown last year. It was a really poor comeback, actually. I wasn't impressed with him at all. Didn't travel, didn't jump, but may have needed the run, who knows. But the Group 1 Leopardstown win from Min, you can't really knock it, apart from the fact that I think Min is more a 2.5 mile horse this day, so he was entitled to win. Can make errors in his races, but all class. But we'll have to cut the errors down. Even the little, just leaves a back leg in, just clip the top. Because when you're racing against the likes of Altior and Defi de Searle, they'll capitalise on it. Simple as that. Dynamite Dollars was really ahead of the market for the Arkle last year before he got injured. Great comeback behind Altior after pretty much, you'd say, a year off. But to be honest with you, even at his best, he didn't run up to a racing post rating anywhere near what Altior's done. I can see him running well, and Paul Nicholls can bring him back from injuries, even the likes of your dodging bullets, etc. and stuff like that. But he would need 3 world-class horses to all disappoint, in my opinion. The other horse we haven't mentioned is obviously Defi de Searle, trained by Philip Hobbs. 6 from 8 at Cheltenham. Absolutely adores the place. And that goes a long way. 3 from 3 this year, including a Tingle Creek, including a Clarence House. It's top 2 mile form. Obviously last year, winner of the JLT, and as I've said time and time again, I've never seen a race work out as good, but to win a JLT over 2.5 mile proves he clearly stays. My only reason I'm not doing this one over Altior is 2 of the defeats this year were from Politolog and Undersue. Now, nothing against those horses, especially Undersue, now he's retired, but Undersea was possibly on his way out. There was still life in the old boy for certain, but he wasn't getting any younger, put it that way. And Politolog has always been, for me, a bit of a nearly horse. So that form, it's good, and all you can do is beat what's in front of you, and he loves Cheltenham. But I think overall, I just think Altior is the percentage call. And even though he's third favourite in the market, Altior, 7-2 in places, you can almost back him each way if he moved out half a point as an each way bet to nothing if he comes top 2. And if he's on song, I can't see Altior not coming top 2. 1, 2, 3 then for the 3:30, the Queen Mother, Altior from Defi de Soy and Chassoon Poursoir in what I think could be the race of the meeting. The 4:10 is the cross-country chase. It's a Class 2 over 4 mile, and this is about one horse. We said Altior is one of the racing gods. If Altior is, Tiger Roll has to be. Going for a 5th festival win, a dual back-to-back winner of the Grand National. But this is the thing with Tiger Roll. He won a Triumph Hurdle over 2 miles, which is staggering. Then came out a year later and won the 4-mile National Hunt Chase. That is just an unbelievable achievement. Won back-to-back cross-country chases, going for it a 3rd time. Really pleasing comeback run over a trip too short over hurdles. Now, people are saying he won't be all revved up for this. It's the Grand National. I think it's the opposite. The plan originally was, before Michael O'Leary changed their mind, we'll retire him at Cheltenham. He might not go for a 3rd Grand National. Michael O'Leary loves Cheltenham. The horse loves Cheltenham, and winning at Cheltenham means a lot. And bear in mind how tricky a Grand National can be. This could be the last chance of a Tiger Roll swan song, and they will have him bang on. You don't need to say any more about him. He's a legendary horse. The jockey, even though it's not Davy Russell this time, it's Donahue's riding it, knows the horse well, won on him before around here. Tiger Roll, he won it by 20-odd lengths last year. He's all class, and I think he'll do it again. Even at even money, I think he's a bet. The obvious danger is Easy's Land, trained by Cotin in France. JP McManus bought him for a small fortune. Won the handicap race trial for this over the course and distance in December. And in the cross-country discipline, including in France, is 6 for 6. He's very, very good, especially in the cross-country discipline. But Tiger Roll, I just think is Tiger Roll, isn't he, at the end of the day? But I don't think we'll be seeing Tiger Roll after this season. So next year, Easy's Land could have the start of a run for McManus again in this race. I definitely think that's a possibility, and he is a live danger. For a place, Urgence de Gregon, another French horse you'd have to look at. He's won or placed in all 5 course and distance starts, and he's run well again this season. Place chances again for sure. 12-1. He's a decent each way bet if you didn't want to play short on the front 2. I can see him certainly running his race. Class looks short on the ground this year in this one. I think Tiger Roll and Easy's Land scared them off. But you've got to give an honourable mention to Yanworth, who was very, very classy back in the day. Won a 3-mile cross-country chase. A bit of an egg and spoon one, be it, in Ireland. But on what he's shown in the cross-country, he needs to prove that he's getting better at the discipline. And 4-mile would still be a big concern. 1, 2, 3 for the cross-country chase. Tiger Roll from Easy's Land and Urgent de Gregon. 4:50 now is the Fred Winter Juvenile Hurdle. It's a grade 3 for over 2 miles for 4-year-olds. Always tricky because sometimes you have horses who have never raced coming in and being world beaters. Mick Pastor is the current favourite in the JP McManus colours for Paul Nicholls, Barry Geraghty. Was shocking on course and distance debut. And I mean, awful. Couldn't jump, didn't travel, but was an easy winner next time. My concern is, when he was called to the trader's room, Paul Nicholls' comment was he choked on the soft, heavy ground. And that was a word-for-word quote. And at the moment, it might dry out. We're looking at soft, heavy on this. So 5-1, unless that was an excuse. But if you take everything at face value, not really one for me, Mick Pastor. And McManus has also got Aramax in here for Gordon Elliott, ridden by Mark Walsh. He's coming to form slowly after 2 starts. But again, on what he's shown, very, very short price for me at around the 4-5-1 mark. They're practically joint favourites there now looking at this. Not really one for me in a competitive race. There's a form line through 2 horses, which is Night Edition and Galahad Quest. And they are very, very close in the market. they were the 1 and 2 in the Triumph Hurdle trial, so it's a bit of a surprise to see him going for the Fred Winter. But even on what they achieved, even though they pulled a long way clear of the third, on what they've achieved, they would have to have stepped forward again. And there could be some good types in here, so I'm not sure. I like Blacko for Alan King and Tom Bellamy. Won his debut really, really well. And then, even though he didn't shoot any lights out in the Class 4 novice, defied a penalty to win again. Now, 4-year-olds defying penalties, I'm impressed by that, because usually they come along slowly, so he showed a lot there. Given nominal improvement, which he'll have, I think Blacko rates a real big chance in this race. I think he's got a great chance, in fact. Paul Nicholls has Time White in here, running in the famous Stuart colours, carried by the likes of Istabrack, where am I? Big Bucks. Harry Cobden takes the ride. Steadily improving this one, and Paul Nicholls does have a decent record in the Fred Winter. He can ready them, certainly, even the likes of Diego Deschamps a few years ago. On the balance, though, I think he'll need a bit more, but I think he is virtually certain to run into the first 5 if he runs to form, virtually guaranteed. So I'll put him in for a place. But for the win, I'm going for the Nicky Henderson, Nico de Boinville combination, and that is Palladium, currently around 12 to 1. What I liked is he beat the older horses on his latest start, and to do that as a 4-year-old is always a key sign. What I liked is been running at 2 miles, staying at 2 mile, but he was doing his best work in every single race at the finish, suggesting for me the way he raced, he needs further than 2 miles. So I think the hill and the soft ground and a strong run 2 mile here will be right in his favour. Some bookies are paying top 5 on this Fred Winter, and if you're getting 12 to 1 on Palladium, he rates a great each way bet. I think the price will come in on this one. I think other people will spot what I've spotted, and I can see this one coming in. 1, 2, 3 then for the 450, the Fred Winter Juvenile Hurdle, Palladium from Blacko and Time White. Which brings us to the final race of day 2, and that is the 530, which is the champion bumper on the flat race. Grade 1 over 2 miles. And this year, it looks to all be about Appreciate It for Willie Mullins and Patrick Mullins taking the ride. That win in the Grade 2 latest, I have notes on different horses at the end, and all I wrote was breathtaking. The speed that he went clear, and then the stamina he just kept finding. It was just ridiculous, to be honest with you. And all of his form has been backed up, even on back form. He seems right out the top draw. Willie Mullins has won this race 9 times. His racing style of going seemingly just off the pace is perfect for this. I think they can afford to race even on the pace here, because he's clearly got stamina to boot and a lot of speed too. He's short price, but understandably short price, because I don't think this is necessarily a vintage year for the champion bumper. We'll see. But if he is as classy as I think he is, it's impossible to oppose him. Mullins is obviously multi-handed, and don't be surprised if he has something improved past it. He's done it before. Look at Relegate the other year. Fernie Hollow's in here. In the Envoy Allen colours, the Cheveley Park, that won it last year. Paul Townend taking the ride. But the form of his Leopardstown and Fairy House seconds have been let down. But he was a good winner on his latest start, so he's clearly coming along, could run a decent race. Second favourite in here is Queen's Brook for Gordon Elliott and Jamie Codd. Was amazing 21 length winner on debut. Can't knock it. Top yard, obviously. Could be anything, but it could be nothing. I don't know. The reason I think he could be something is because seemingly Jamie Codd would have had the choice between Queen's Brook and East Sky Lane, also by Gordon Elliott. That horse, East Sky Lane, had a decent debut and improved again to win at Nace on his latest. But as I said, he seems to prefer Queen's Brook. But Davy Russell taking over on East Sky Lane, or Esky Lane, however you pronounce it, isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I don't know. It's a hard one to weigh up between those two. Queen's Brook, do you know what? He was 14 to 1 last week, now 6 to 1. I think the value's gone for a horse who, as I said, I don't know how good that run is. It's not been tested. Ocean Wind, 4-year-old in here. Close second in a course at distance listed race here on New Year's Day. Good run. And then improved latest. And he would have a good, decent chance if the ground dries out. But if it does, I'm not convinced it will. He can run a good race, but I might not get home. Who knows? The Glancing Queen. People who follow my WhatsApp service will remember I tipped this one up in the Aintree bumper last year after his run in the Champion bumper last year, and it duly obliged around 8-1. Totten Cannon takes the ride. He was badly hampered on the bend, and she came home 5th in this last year. So that run behind Envoy Allen, beaten 6 or 7 lengths, can be upgraded. Then went for the Mears bumper and gritted really well. Came home in horrible conditions. I was there, but won. Has been off since. But gets to have a second go at the Champion bumper. Goes well fresh, seemingly kept for this based on a stable tour in October, November. And I think that Glancing Queen can upgrade last year's effort, but possibly without being good enough. I like a horse called Israel Champ here for David Pipe and Tom Scudamore. Being honest, only got beat on his UK debut, and not being nasty, Dave Noonan gave it a shocking ride. Led at an absolute crawl. I've watched it back, and then tried to turn a horse that's clearly all about stamina into a sprint, and it didn't work. He just quickened off past him. Tried to quicken it up, went on, and he just flew past him. Stayed on again at the line. Rode it much more aggressively from the front but the next 2 times when Tom Scudamore took the ride, and really toughed it out at course and distance and at Ascot. Been given a break since, so he knows what the game is. He's been to the course. Is very, very tough horse, you can see, and that's why when they made more of it, it was fantastic. Stamina is clearly a strong suit. I think Israel Champ is the each-way play against the favourite if you want to do that. I think he's a very good horse, and I think, again, 12-1 is a very big price. But it's all about appreciate it. If that horse what he says he is, he'll win this doing handstands. But I'll be having an each-way saver, certainly on Israel Champ, because I think this one's a good horse too. 1, 2, 3 then for the Champion bumper, the 5:30. Appreciate it from Israel Champ and Glancing Queen. Good luck on day 1 today, guys. Good luck on day 2, and I'll see you for day 3 soon. Ta-ra.